And here we are. Oops. Here we are with a new episode of Planescape Torment. Now, I'm actually, as it happens sometimes in this game, I'm at a loss where to go, what to do, that kind of thing. I'm pretty sure we'll figure it out. So, let's resume life. So remember now, last time we got ourselves a Lim. What a bastard. What do? This grim-looking woman spares you only a brief glance before returning to her round on top of the stage. I know what's happening. Wow, you can zoom out in this version. You can zoom out, but I don't really want to do that. Okay, we got the spells, we got everything. Craddock, what about you? See a huge man watching this area with a tight-lipped frown and narrowed eyes. He's hunched slightly and is bearing a heavy load on his shoulders. The unpleasant smell of sweat and dirt wafts from his clothes. Greetings. Okay, this man is the man who we're supposed to bring the box to. Now, this box. Ornate box. With a gem. Probably the gem is the only useful thing in this. But, this is a very interesting and complex item. Nice, bash. Bam, bam. None of this matters, but we'll keep it anyway. We like all sorts of trash. This item is quite interesting. Now, we won't do anything with it. Because, for a simple reason, that there are different things you can do with it. You can take it to this guy, who will then ask you to take it to another guy, and that's how the quest ends. You can open it. And have some fun time fighting a stupid demon. Yes. Or we can... What the guy told us prior is that basically we must not leave the hive with it in our inventory. Now if we do, it disintegrates and something special might happen. Sorry for the spoilers, but that's just how this series work, I suppose. It'll have a play further in the game. And that's what we want, because it's more XP, and in general it's a little bit more fun, although not very obvious. Finest Toledo blades. There is a Toledo somewhere in this world. Is it in Sigil? It's somewhere else, I don't know. Let's talk to this guy instead. You see a thin yellow-skinned humanoid covered with a variety of dazzling tattoos. His eyebrows have been accented with black charcoal lines and his teeth are filed to points. Ugh. He sees you and waves you over, rattling his dice in his hand. Greetings! He displays a feral shark-toothed grin. His eyes are like shiny black orbs. His voice is low and raspy. Kaoha greets you as well. You have come to play a game, yes? Sure, I'll play. Gao reaches into his tunic and pulls out a coin. This coin, your coin? He places it at your feet and pulls out another. This coin, Gao's. Places it at his own feet and holds up 2 dice between his thumb and index finger. The dice, we both roll 1, yes? Okay. You roll higher, both coins. He snatches the coins up from the ground and proffers them to you, yours. Gao roll higher, mine. We can actually play for 100. No, we're not going to do that. Let's do 25. You both roll the dice until Goho rolls higher. He snatches up your coins, tucking them into his tunic. He seems to hesitate for a moment, then speaks again. Yes? Wait, is something wrong? Goho regards you closely for a moment, then nods. Never do I indulge in Hashma's folly. Never do I cheat human, but I see fortune, read it, know it in the face of a man. However, in you I see nothing. I know nothing. You have no luck, no fortune, neither good nor ill. Or you make your own, perhaps. I do not know. He places his dice back into his tunic. We might play later, perhaps, but no more at this moment. Alright. It is true. We kind of make our own luck. There, right. Sorry, I'm having another conversation over there. That's okay. Requiem, my favorite character. Because he farts. This man is looking at you with a strange bug-eyed stare. His eyes are huge. So huge they look ready to pop out of these sockets and roll across the cobblestones. He nods eagerly as you approach, bobbing his head like a bird. And as you near him, you suddenly notice the smell of urine and feces surrounding him. Greetings. The man sniffles, wiping his nose on his sleeve, then opens his mouth to reveal blackened, rotted gums. Stories for coins, sirrah? His breath reeks. It smells like this man has been keeping rotten meat stored inside his mouth. Stories for coin? Now, this is why he's called Requiem, I guess. Who are you? The man snorts, thick with phlegm. Names, who you are. His head does a slight twitch every time he repeats himself. Names, dangerous. He glances at the ground and stirs the dirt with his foot. Dangerous? Knowing a name or being stuck with one, both a mess of trouble. He looks back up at you. My name's a given name, not one asked for. Requiem. Once again, you become conscious of his reeking breath and the smell of urine and feces that surrounds him. A given name. Is that your real name? It would be rude. Look, the guy smells. He's aware of his situation. Not my true name. Requiem mumbles on his head, twitching every time he says his name. A true name's the danger thing, gives others power. He stares at you with his huge eyes and wags his finger. Keep your name secret, keep it close, never let it out. What do you mean? Names are like smells. Things can track you with them. Requiem coughs, his eyes almost popping out of his skull as he does so. His cough seems to loosen his bowels where he breaks wind loudly as if to accentuate his point. If someone knows a true name, it gives them power. He licks his lip, the power to hurt. Now this is a recurring theme in Planescape and the whole planes multiverses and stuff like that is the power of names, the true name. And I love the concept for some reason. There is that theme recurring in one of the original Neverwinter Nights expansion. It's done pretty well there, I think. But let's go on with this. I don't know my true name. Requiem eyes widen. Seeing his eyeballs bulge even larger makes you uneasy. Then you are blessed. Remain nameless, and you shall be as a spirit on the plains, untraceable, untrackable, and seen undiscovered. He smacks his gums wetly. A name chosen, a name given. It allows others to find you and hurt you. Have you been hurt? Requiem gives a twitching nod, then scratches himself. Let my name slip once, only once. His eyes film over as the memory is painful, then glances at you uneasily. Tell you the story I will, but 3 coppers must I see. His face splits into a smile as he says the word coppers. His reeking breath hits you like a hammer. Well, here you go. Requiem gets into a stance, looks left, looks right, then faces you. His face clenches, then with a grunt he breaks wind again. The smell nearly levels you, but he takes no notice. Look, Nameless One, you smell almost as bad. You smell like a dead man. Because you are, in a way, dead. So I don't know which is worse. Cursed Eye walked the wards in splendor. He stands up stiffly, nose high in the air. He saunters back and forth, nodding to invisible passerby.
Updated my journal.
Passersby. Requiem freezes, his arm akimbo. Crossed path to the Crossed One. Had the looking of a pumpkin, his seeds curses. Requiem then thrusts his belly out so as to appear fat, slicks back his hair with his filthy palms so he looks almost bored and begins drumming his fingers on his fat belly. He then walks about, circling the spot where his stuffy upper-class persona used to be. All a jumble with curses, this one was. With a sneer and a careless gesture, Requiem tosses an invisible curse at the stuffy persona. Okay. Knew my name, let it slip I had. All it took it all. He stiffens up again, inhaling deeply and resuming his upper-class persona. The persona suddenly crumples and Requiem breaks wind violently, then exhales, filling the air with his foul-reeking breath. Cursed with stenches, smells, excrement, came here to tell tales. All good for now. Now Requiem is the name, given name. Let's see, I had other questions. Questions, answers. What happened to you? What happened to you? Okay. There is a quest associated with this character, I think, but I don't quite remember. Can you tell me about this area? I don't know. Spyward, he points to his left as the charred alley in the distance. An alley of dangerous angels. He bends his limbs in a twisted parody of one of the skeletal buildings. Not always angled, not always burned and charred, once alive, no longer. Listen. Flames, fire! He flings his hand up in the air, then waves them to simulate flames. The alley burned, great smoke, ash everywhere. In the end, only skeletons of buildings left. Bones of dead buildings, angels. Oh, schmucks. This is hilarious. I always sort of glanced over this dialogue, over the things like this. It's just a name for a place, Dangerous Angels. I thought there's a bunch of thieves and ruffians in there, and I thought, oh, Dangerous Angel makes sense, and it's actually Engels. I am an idiot. So it's Dangerous Engels. Engels everywhere. Engels. This reminds me of how some Chinese kids I used to teach would call themselves Engel instead of Angel. Yes. And I made fun of them a little bit in my head. Listen. He hunches forward, his voice a whisper. Again, the stench from his body hits you like a wave. Dangerous now, bad men have set up their kip there. He bows, then breaks wind in quick spurts like a bugle blowing. Sweet. That is the tale of how a street becomes an alley of dangerous angles. How did the fire start? He makes a semicircle of his heart. A man made it so. A beast made it so. A man whom even fiends admire. Who? A sorceress tale, filled with madness, sadness, burning, yearning. A tale I can tell, I will, but 3 coppers must I see. He hisses then cackles in a way that reminds you of a fire burning. A dangerous tale, very well, here's 3 coppers. So, sir, there was no simple hedge wizard this, but a magic of power. Requiem brings his hands together reverently, then smiles evilly. He burned with the art, and the art burned him. The name given him was Ignis. A name respected, then feared, then hated, then punished. Requiem gives a rattling wheeze, then claws the air and hisses, apparently imitating Ignis. Taught by one of the last great magi, Ignis was, and as an apprentice, Ignis learned much, and nothing at the same time. Requiem shakes his head sadly. His heart, his cold black heart, a fire blazed. It burned, and it hungered. Requiem claws at his chest as if in pain. As it hungered, Ignis hungered. It was his wish to see the plains burn. Some men just want to, see the world burn. Listen. In the night, Requiem hunches down and begins to slowly stalk in the direction of the alley, a mad grin on his face. Ignis came to the alley that was to be the alley of angles, and the fire in his eyes, the fire in his heart, both he let out. Requiem points at the alley, then flings his arm in the air, silently screaming and laughing at the same time. Flesh ran like wax, people like candles, and Ignis laughed. Requiem crumples to the ground, his body racked with imagined pain. An evil was done, and forgotten not. He stands up, then hunches over, looks left, looks right, then starts mumbling as if secretly in a conference with someone. Something was to be done. He stands up stiffly, his face resolute. A punishment was decided. All the hedge wizards, midwives, rune tellers, copper pinching witches, all manners of magelings. They came all, even those with the smallest trace of the art, to punish Ignis. Separately they were flies. He makes a buzzing noise between his rotten gums. Together dangerous. Listen. He hums then raises his hands. Caught Ignis granted his wish. He swirls his hand as if casting a spell. He wished to burn, they granted it, using his own desire to fuel the casting. They made his body a door to the plane of fire. They intended to kill him.
Updated my journal.
Failed. Requiem breaks wind again as if to accentuate the failure of the wizards. Ignis lived, only slept. Blanket of flames turned in his sleep as he burned. Never happier. He shuts his eyes, wraps his arm around himself, and turns slowly. Burning, ever burning. His eyes suddenly snap open. One day he will wake, and then the plains shall burn. That's an unfortunate tale. Can you tell me where I can find someone named Farad? King of noble tale! Wow, okay. Requiem remains hunched over, staring at you. Once a man of respect, Farad was, a man of goals and position. All became nothing, turned to air. Requiem squints, then breaks wind, filling the air with a gut-churning smell. Turn to air and stink. A liar, a cheater, a man who twisted law, Farad was. He hunches over as if writing at a desk. He writes for a moment and suddenly stops, afraid. Then one day he found that he had twisted himself. Listen. Such a lie he had become that when he died he was to go to a horrible place. Requiem shakes his head sadly, then hunches over again and looks wildly in all directions. Farad would not accept it, would not. He had cheated others, he would cheat his fate too. Yes. He read Duggan books and consulted seers. And they told him that only in trash could he find that which would let him cheat his fate. Requiem breaks wind again, then gives a reeking cough. Perhaps they lied. Requiem stands up stiffly and begins to fling off imaginary clothes. With every piece of clothing he throws away, he becomes more hunched. Farad threw away his position, his goals, and took up a new title. Requiem stops, then leers at you. He claws at his rags, shaking them, and became a king of rags. He would rule the trash, have his subjects search it all, and find that which he needed. He shakes his head. He looks even now. Do you know where I could find him? He lives amongst rags and trash. Yes, we know that already. Missing a journal? Have you seen one? Of course you haven't. That's a very general question to ask, is it not? Anyway, farewell. I suppose. That's a hive thug. Don't need to go there yet. Haha. Iron Knolls. Easy to pronounce as Iron Nails, and I actually, until one of the fifth playthrough, I was like, oh, it's actually Iron Knolls, not nails. This broad-shouldered woman is shuffling about amongst the huge beams lying on the street. She kicks at the beams with iron-shod boots. Every once in a while, she bends down and wrenches a nail from one of the boards with her bare hands. She holds each one up, appraising it, then drops it into a leather sling bag. Now again, you would think her name would be Iron Nails, because she picks up nails. But apparently that's not it. That's not what it is. Greetings. She straightens up, hearing you approach. She's smiling politely, but from her stance and the way her hand rests close to the hilt of her weapon, you can tell she's ready for travel. You notice one of her eyes has a milky film over it. One-eyed Luca. Leaky-eyed Luca, sorry. That's close enough there, Cutter. What do you need from me? Got some questions. Ask away, then. What are you doing? She rolls around. What did it look I was doing, Bart? Collecting nails, she loves, gently shaking her head. Why? Sell them to a man named Hamris in the lower ward. Makes of coffin he is. Tell me of this Hamris. We know of the Hamris. He's a coffin maker. Does anyone else scavenge names? No one was clever enough. Or had the will to do it before me, and I've shoved off anyone who's tried to jump me claim since. She pats the long-bladed dagger hanging at her side lovingly. Your claim? Hey, that's what I call it. Honest labor's hard to come by in the hive, and I'm not about to let some sodding off me work. I've sent more than one Burke running and howling, holding their guts in, or off with the collectors if they were unlucky. Headaches gleam maliciously. The hive knows this spot as Iron Knolls. It does. She is actually named Iron, you know. Is that how your eye was ruined? Nell's face turns down. None of your business, Burke. Why? Would you like a matching wound for your collection? No, that particular one's not quite me. She laughs harshly. Aye. And I don't think you have much room for another scar besides. That's very true, Iron Knolls. She's actually not. She's not bad. Who are you? Iron Knolls, they call me. She drops them back and then, yeah, the nails. Is she Knolls or nails? Stupid. Why are you collecting the nails? Yes. Tell me this Hamres. Does anyone else? Okay. Other questions? For Farad. There's not going to be a good answer. No, I have not. You know, that's a good idea, it is, a journal. Mayhap I should start one of my own. Yes, it is. It's amazing how much one can forget. A journal can help you hold on to your memories. She mulls over what you said. Hey, you're right. You're right indeed, Cutter. I'll do it. Thank you for the idea. What are you doing? Can you tell me about this little... Okay. Can you tell me about this place? Look, Cutter, I've got a lot of work to do. Okay. Something's gotta... going on with Iron Knolls. Ash Mantle. You see a dustman in long black robes and a pale face. Unlike the dustman you saw in the mortuary, however, this man looks confused and is glancing about as if looking for something. He spots you, he raises his hand to attract your attention. Greetings. The man seems relieved that you're speaking to him. He bows slightly. Thank you for hearing me, traveler. I'm known as Ash Mantle, one of the Dustman sect. I was wondering if you could direct me... I don't know the area very well, and I'm looking for a certain establishment, a bar that those of my sect frequent. Do you know of such a place? Sect? You're a dustman, don't you mean faction? The dustman nods. Well, yes, faction. I meant faction. Sect, faction, they're the same thing. In my head, this guy sounds like Smithers from The Simpsons. There's no reason. Sect, faction, they're pretty much the same thing. Aurora Borealis. Do you happen to know of this bar that my faction frequents? Tell him about where the bar is? Thank you very much. I appreciate your kindness. The people of the Hive are rarely helpful in such matters. Okay. Can you tell me a little about the Dustman? Pause for a moment and nods. It would be my pleasure. We, the Dustmen, recognize this life for what it is, an opportunity to experience our passions before the next life. We sift through the rust of our past lives for meeting before the next. That's not a Dustman count I have ever heard. Who are you? The man nods a little uncomfortably. Why, I am Ash Mantle of the Ninth Circle. Ninth Circle? There's no such a thing. For Aurora Borealis. He suddenly tenses up. I don't have to time and practice in ranks at the Dustman sect with you. You'll excuse me. Grab his hand. Your hand snaps out, but Ash Mantle draws back something you miss, grabbing his wrist. You see his Dustman start criminal with a Franklin who runs off. Damn it. Shouldn't have done that. Okay. He's not a real Dustman. Stupid ass bitch. I have to run after him all the way. Was that a quest as well? Jagged knife, bronze ring. Not much. Yeah, I might have missed out on an opportunity. So that's okay. No handle. No means to open it. Marinated and cooked rats dangle from it. As he speaks, he gestures to them with a broad, filth-encrusted hand. They're all dirty here, you know? As he speaks, yes. Smiling a loud, snaggle-toothed grin all the while. Oi, Cutter, how you doing there? What sort of delicious rats is you interested in this fine day? I'd rather eat offal. The man doesn't seem to the least bit perturbed. In fact, he winks at you, smiling merrily. Perturbed. That's the word. I've never actually had a chance to speak. Let me tell you, Cutter, you don't know what you're missing. I'll be here if you reconsider. The man returns to hawking his rats to passerbys. I had some questions though. This is building. Someone pays for tails. Okay, that's the. It's the Office of Vermin and Disease Control. And the boss there is Mr. Lordfellow. His name's Phineas Lord. Think he was some sort of up. He was put down by his rivals in the stop ear, in the arse, in the sigil. Sorry. The Burke sits in there alone, all the night and day, it seems, waiting for folk to bring in tales and paying them the bounty. You know the best part? Poor sod must be allergic to rats, because he's always got a huge rash going. Oh ho, powers to be praised, ain't that fella? Put down, any idea what happened? Well, he's right chatty. He's bound up box for hours on just how smart he is in and the like. Mayhap he's got something to do with it, he shrugs. Understand? Another questions? Another question? The rats. Bit of an expert in that field I am. What's your question? Tell me about these rats, you kids. They cut a brain vermin. Foul creatures they are. Now your normal rat, this is what I mean. This is what I meant the other episode. About a brain vermin. Your normal rats, they just eat stored goods and multiply, spread disease and all that. A nuisance, really, no more. Your cranium rat, though, brain vermin, what I got after, they're just trouble. When you get more than a handful of these little fuckers together, they start to get smart on you, sometimes real smart. They become more intelligent? Sure. As I'm standing here before you, they do. If I ran across any more than 2 score, I might flee from a case like that. He snaps to emphasize the point. I would. Yeah, you get that many of them in a pack, why, they get smart as a man, they do. Go on. Here's my best advice for you, Cutter. If you're bent on catching brain vermin, stick to small packs. A dozen or so at most, but I'll tell you. He steps close, his breath fetid in your face, and speaks in a hushed tone. You run into more than that, more than a couple dozen. You run like you're in the shadow of a lady. He backs away from you again. Why? What's there to fear? Sorcery, Cutter! Sorcery! Yeah, gets enough of these little fiends in a space, they get all sorts of odd powers. Haven't met too many of those yet. We haven't seen a big pack yet, but we will. Make a basher's brain pour out its ears, they will. Downright frightening, it's just wrong, I tell you. That's why Sigil is so eager to be rid of him. The bounty and all. Okay. Nothing else. Like one of this rate. Let's go for spiced. We'll have a rat. You hand over your coppers, and in one swift motion he runs a pair of spice threads through with a wooden skewer, unhooks them, and places them in your hand. He winks at you. Enjoy, Cutter. Eat the rat, see? It's not an item. Rat meat is aromatic and quite spicy, apparently marinated in some sort of herbal mixture before being cooked. It's a bit greasy and rather rich, tasting of some other meat that you're sure you've had before. The man looks at you expectantly. Did you like it? Would you like another? I'll have another. Let's go baked. Okay. Eat the rat, see the red station tender moist. It comes off the bone easily and melts in your mouth. It is slightly greasy and rather rich, tasting of some other sort of meat. Another. Let's go for boiled. Yes. We're just going to try them all. The rat meat prepared this way is rather bland and rubbery. It tastes faintly of some other meat you're sure you've had before. You are certain that it would taste better prepared in a different manner. You can't imagine where anyone would boil meat to eat. The man looks at you expectantly. I'll have another. The last one is charred. Okay. It's burnt and crispy outside but tender and juicy within. It's a bit greasy and rather rich, tasting of some other meat. The man looks at you expectantly. Did you like it? No, for me. Farewell. That doesn't achieve anything. I'll be honest. I did that because I've actually. So you're gonna attack or something? Okay. Let's do the chromatic orb. Eat it, beat. There you go. Perfect. Love that. Have another one. Well, we're not a very strong mage just yet, but we can throw some orange globes onto these bastards. Oh, no, you have to chase them around. Jesus, I hate that. Okay. Got some money though. Spend a lot on rats. Alright. What have you got here? Fan. Container. See, you can bash most containers. I think it destroys. Do you actually destroy shit in it? I don't know. But we're gonna loot this guy. Okay. Phineas T. Lord something the 39th. You see a squat man with rash-covered skin and several pustules covering his face. His clothes seem to mark him as some sort of an official, but they are dirty, wrinkled, and covered with red hair. As you watch, he idly scratches himself with stubby fingers. Greetings. Aye! The little man shrieks and jumps, startled. Clutching his heart, he takes a deep breath and pushes his spectacles up on his rash-ridden nose. Yes, yes? And what is it that I can do for you? He scratches his nose and looks you up and down, studying your skills. I have little to nothing in the till, so you have come to plunder the premises. The locale is ill-chosen. I'm not here to plunder the premises, although we just did exactly that. Look at all these tails. Look at all these rat tails on the wall. Jesus Christ. I'm here to plunder the premises. Who are you? I am the respected Phineas T. Lord, the 39th, in charge of this high branch of the Office for Vermin and Disease Control. It is my distinguished privilege, he scratches his chest and puffs up, to inform you that we, in the bureaucratic sense of the word, we, meaning to encompass the sigil bureaucracy as a whole, are accepting bounties on all manner of vermin and strays that infest the... He scratches again. Fair streets of Sigil, hub of the multiverse, and the city which sits at the center of all things, the city by which all other cities are measured.
Updated
Bounties.
my journal.
Yes, we in the bureaucratic sense of the word, we, meaning to encompass the sigil bureaucracy as a whole, are accepting tangible proof of the eradication of brain vermin, aka cranial rats, from the hive area, where they have clustered quite thickly for the past many years, as a recent census of the vermin population has shown. I am empowered by the Sigilian bureaucracy to pay a bounty of, he puffs up dramatically, 1 copper common per cranium rat delivered to my branch office. I don't have any rats, but I have some tails. How about them? Let's turn in all the tails first, just to free up our inventory. This is not a way of making money at all. We're gonna have a lot of red tails, but it actually doesn't mean much. How did someone as illustrious as you end up in such a place? Well, it's quite an epic tale, you see. I was born here in Sigil. Oh, shit. Yep. Eight hours. Shouldn't have asked. And then I realized that I had somehow offended my colleagues, for I found myself promoted to this branch office and have remained here for these past many years. He sighs, then idly scratches his nose. I had other questions. Is that rash of your contagious? My rash? Contagious? No. Well, at least I don't think so. It's a symptom of the position, I'm afraid. The job literally grows on you. He scratched himself again. Who are you? Okay. Fair enough. What's here? The door is locked. You will need a key. Some of the questions. Cranium rats. Imagine that 2 or 3 cranium rats might be enough to outwit you, sir. Yes, another comment like that and you'll be wearing your ass as a hat. Phineas blinks. Your appearance seems to sink in at last. I withdraw my most inappropriate comment, especially in light of your recent assertion of dominance and physical superiority in this social situation. How many cranium rats? More than enough to last the bounty hunter a lifetime, perhaps several. Well, we need more money. And quicker. Like, if at least you didn't have to actually hand in these rat tails one by one. If you could just say, oh, I have all these rat tails. So we had, what, 5? We spent too much time for not much money. Now my questions. Morty, could you hold this for me? Okay. Don't remember what that is. Should we? Oh, again! Just bloody die. What the heck?
Alright.
Like, sometimes these guys aggro, sometimes they don't. It's very weird. Okay. We just... That was a good time to sleep because we just lost a bunch of money. Okay. We're just gonna rob her. Rob her blind. Nothing to rob. Fair enough. Okay. There's shit coming in. Okay. What's this? Oh, nice clock charm. Clock charm's a nice early game. And mid-game as well, actually. Crier of S. Anon. Yes, I do remember you. It's quite a bit of a bunch of shit we can hand in. Okay, Crier. Streams of tears have carved channels down this man's dust-covered face. He looks to be a monk or a holy man of some sort, but the dirt covering his body makes it nearly impossible to see the man beneath. He's chanting and rolling his head back and forth. It looks like some sort of ritual. Greetings. The man stops his frenzied chanting and glares at you with his tear-rimmed eyes. He opens his parched mouth to speak, but all he can manage is a withered croak. What's wrong? Why are you crying? I mean, you could just derive from the name, but okay. His voice is so hoarse that it sounds like he has been without water for days. As you watch, a tear trickles down his face. I'm a crier of Essanon. Essanon? Who is that? Who is Essanon? The man throws back his head and gives a rasping laugh. It sounds brutal and defeated. Essanon is not a name, but a city. Why do you cry for a city? We cry its name because Essanon must not be forgotten. All the cries of Essanon carry this burden. You mourn a city. Why do you do such a thing? Because its name is all that remains. Its avenues of light, its great spiraling parks, when it was laid waste and reduced to memory, and 80 of its people survived. It was our duty to see that its name was remembered across the plains. Many criers of Essanon have died for the sake of remembering. Many. If it places you and the others at risk, why don't you stop? The tears I shed, the dust that cloaks me, these things are just nothing compared to what awaits should I give up my sacred burden We must see to it that its name is remembered. We are living memorials to its passage. That's so, then what happens if you all die? A fresh tear springs to the crier's eye. Even his dust-caked face cannot disguise this look of despair. I do not know. We criers of Essanon cannot mourn it forever. Even now the dust clings to our robes, the spit dries in our mouths, our bodies wither and die. Is there any way I could help you? You are kind to ask. The crier shakes his head. Unless you can immortalize Essanon, there is no help to be had. Would a tombstone serve? Tombstone? It's a stone that records a man's name, his life, and a eulogy. If it serves a man, could it not also serve a city that has died? Stones may do such thing, yes, and their lifetime is much longer than a man's. If its name was carved on stone, would Essenon's memory be served? Then pauses. Would others see this name? Yes, it would be there for all to see long after you've died. The man nods. If such a thing were possible, he turns to you. Where would one find such a stone? I could go look for one. If I find you one, I'll carve the name of Essenon. You would do this? The man's eyes start watering up again. You would be setting all the criers of Essanon free, but a score of us remain. The burden of remembering would be over after so many years. I would do so. I will return with the name when it's carved. Now, think about it. What is a stone that you use to carve the names of the dead? Well, we'll go there later. Don't really have to go there now. Quick save. Hive Dweller. Hello, Hive Dweller. I want to rob you. I want to rob you blind, but you have absolutely fuck all. Alright. It's a lot of... Oh, and we haven't gone in there. Yes, I don't even remember what the hell that is. Collector, don't care, didn't ask. What's this? Hello. Braskin, my man. Hello, Braskin. Loud booming voice, Braskin asks, what in the name of the abyss are you doing in my house? Leave now before I make you even more ugly than you are. I think Braskin is the other guy that you can take the bloody box to. If I'm not mistaken. We will not be bringing the box to him or anyone else. Let's go here. What's in here? What the heck? It's just our house. Stupid. Uh-oh. Bye-bye. No. I don't really want to fight you. Do I? Okay, yeah, that's something we throw. Okay, we'll sell shit to you. Yes, I have. Jagged knife, sure. Don't need it. Yeah, we'll sell that. Rusty dagger, copper earring. Yes. Okay. It's not bad. And who else? Gisco. Hive merchant. This guy? What do you sell? Do you have? Purchase something. Fire seeds. Put them in your mouth. Okay. I don't think any of those. I'm pretty sure none of them do anything. So we're not going to waste our time with it. Now, Southeast Hive office. I think it's time for us to head to the Burning Man bar. And I think this is where this is headed. Is it? Boreari? Angry Hive Dweller. Nah, fuck off. Don't care. Don't care, didn't ask. What's this? Small dwelling. It's not that small. It doesn't quite look... Oh, hello, Quatra. Moving from box to box, this man seems to be totally immersed in counting boxes and scribbling results down on pieces of parchment. He looks annoyed as you interrupt him. What is it now? Can't you see I'm busy taking inventory? Go bother someone else. We've saved. So I'm gonna show you this. I was told to deliver this box to you. Well, why didn't you say it in the first? Let's see what you got. Ma told me to give this to you. As you hold the box out for him to take, Quattro's expression turns from one of interest to that of intense horror. No, please get it away from me. I don't understand why you're afraid of this box. I said, get back. Death evil had to dupe Ma. Couldn't take it anymore. Please take to Braskin. Lives southwest. Hive me. No. Apparently the sight of the box is just too much for him, and he runs screaming from the building. What? Bye bye. Idiot. I think we can still, you know, sort of. See, he didn't take the box, so harlot. Jeez, these harlots everywhere. Okay, this is to the mortuary. We don't need to go there yet. Mourns for trees. Okay, damsel. Hello, damsel. We haven't talked to her last time we were here with the talking to the tree guy. We'll talk to her now. See, a pretty young woman. Her head is in disarray and the bodice of her dress is torn. She looks about in desperation, then notices you. Greetings! She runs up to you and grabs your arm. You'll notice the front of her dress is stained with blood. Help me, Cutter, please. They're killing my sister. She begins to tug on your arm. Who? She looks around wildly. This drunken man who followed us from one of the taverns. We thought he meant no harm. Please, Cutter, there is no more time. Wait, first you said they were killing your sister, now you say he's killing her. Which is it? She says that you're unsure what to say. I'm distraught. I made a mistake. She glances at the blood on the stain. Please help me, Cutter. Examine the blood on her dress. No, okay, wait. No. Wait a second. Don't you run away, you stupid git. Where's she going? No, that's not her. I accidentally pressed the wrong thing. Sorry. I pressed the wrong thing. I'll have to, you know, try this again. Oh! These guys, I think... Oh, we'll talk to him. Actually, we'll talk to him right now. Hello? Greetings. You're the ones who robbed the monk in the hive? Took his prayer bead necklace? Some saltwit line scrawled over his face, claimed that he could have put us all in a dead bug, yet lets us bob him blind. The man gives a slow, toothless man. Never even heard of such a son, I hadn't. Lie, that is interesting. The rest of his order is looking for you. The brothers of Erita Gay seem to know you quite well. Hey, the man in your face. What are you talking about? What brothers? He saw was alone, he was. He's a member of a religious order, you fool. That necklace you stole is their most holy relic. If it isn't returned, the rest of his order will come looking for you, and they don't have any reservation about killing thieves. How much? 500. The man's eyes widen. Hey, now we was just keeping the relic for him. He reaches into the fold of his robe and pulls forth the necklace, which he hands carefully to you. Here it is, no harm done. I hope this is enough to kill off the rest of his order. Perhaps the nation that causes an order as well. Might help smooth things over and ward off any curses that might come your way. Curses to make! Makes a semicircle of his heart. Oh well, now I wouldn't want any of that. He reaches into a purse at his belt and hands over several copper coins. Take it with me, blessing, Governor. Tell him no harm you meant. Your nation's appreciated. Stupid. They're dumb. They're just thugs. I fooled them also. I don't know if you could do that if you had low charisma, but my charisma isn't that high either. Greetings. Who? He said they were killing. They examined the blood on her dress. He glanced down her dress and looked at the blood. Although it does appear to be real, it has completely dried. It must be hours old. That blood is hours old. What are you up to? See her eyes flick to the blood stains and then back. You think you can hear a hint of nervousness in her voice. You are mistaken, Cutter. Please help me. My sister lies dying while we tarry. Bluff. You're up to something. Tell me what's going on or I'll kill you. She looks into your eyes and then glances at the scars that cover your body. You know, he's got very high intimidation stat. It's not shown in the game, but I think, you know, the scars, they tend to act that way. She swallows nervously, and you see her pale before your eyes. I'm supposed to lure people into an alley nearby. They're waiting there to take your drink. Let me give you some advice. She gazes at you, signs and nods her head. Don't pick someone like me as your mark. Choose someone drunk and fat who looks like he's never seen a bat in his life. She nods once curtly. Make sure he looks like he has more than a couple coins to his name, and get out of here. She nods curtly and then backs away from you. She hesitates for a moment and turns to leave. Thank you, Cutter. She sprints off. What a bitch. What a bitch. Why did they even bloody help her? Yeah, let's go where they're supposed to jump. Are they still gonna? Yeah, they're gonna jump us still. That's cool. So we'll take them out. Ow! Oh, stupid ass. You stupid ass. You think you can take me, bastards? You cannot. I'm too good. Coins. We got some money now. Okay. Can't see anything on the screen. That's okay. Starved dog barking thug. What's this? This ash covered tree. Where's the thug? Oh, he left. I think hello. This wild-eyed man is hunched over, barking and howling at the top of his lungs. Beneath his thick, matted hair, you can make out a series of strange tattoos. They run the range from screaming faces to bizarre geometric shapes to what appears to be lines of verse. He's almost naked, but the dirt and filth covering him gives him the semblance of modesty. Give a long, forlorn howl. The man whirls on you as he hears your howl and gives a lopsided grin. He throws his hat back, howling with you. He stops a few moments later, then resumes his loping about, gnarling and barking like some sort of feral dog. Snarl back at him, baring your teeth. The man's barking ends with a snarl and he leaps at you. You see why you want to die, Wolfman? Yeah, these guys just kill you. That warrants applause. I'm not gonna reload because I'm stupid though, and that's just how it is now. Oh well. For some reason I thought, well, anyway. Be back. I mean, you know, sometimes you die. Sometimes you die.
Alright.
I ain't talking to you. I ain't talking to you, bitch. Leave me alone. Where's my friend Soya go? Soy boy. Alright. Oh shit. Sometimes it does that. Huh. Enhanced edition. Huh? Huh? Enhanced edition my ass. Still, that bug still happens when you well, it's not a bug. It's just awkward stuff that happens with this game. Alright. Just pausing. Oh. So, there's this song that's Anna's theme. I quite like it. Yeah, we don't need to oh my god. Okay. Dude. If you want to fight, there you go. Bang. Morty, fuck him up. Fuck that bitch. Just mess with him. You know? He was stupid enough to come at me. There you go. Do I have to take all of them out now? And you sell all these bloody rings. That's what it is. Morty is just a killing machine at this point. You know? Yeah. Ash cover trees. Bunch of that. Do we need to go here yet? I don't think so. We can't actually, I don't think. What you first took to be a door in this archway is actually a painting. The artist has made use of the shadows of the overhanging arch and some subtle texturing effects to give the door the illusion of substance. Examine the door. Other than the skill of the artist, there is nothing remarkable about the painting. The door has been painted on a rough stone wall. You can feel the stone and mortar beneath the painted wooden texture. Huh. Okay, whatever you say. Harlot, high thug. Barking wilder. That man. It's July. We'll talk to these people a little bit later. We'll go here first. This is a nice place to be. Fell's Tattoo Parlor. As you may have noticed, tattoo, and we need those. Hello, Fell. You see a Dabus, but something about it strikes you as odd. It has the same shock of white hair, the same greenish cast to its skin, the same pair of goat horns. Then you suddenly realize that this one is walking on the ground, not floating. For some reason, that makes you uneasy. I have some questions for you. The Dabus waits. Who are you? As you're about to ask, you suddenly realize you already know the Dabus's name. His name is Fel. As if in response, the Dabus inclines his head slightly and a lone symbol appears above its head. It's blurry at first and resolves into a white oval with a black lightning bolt through it. I feel like I know you, Fel. Fel bows reverently and a stream of symbols swirl about his head, rotating clockwise, then counterclockwise. It takes you a moment to translate. This is the first time, and not the first time you haven't come to this place. Do you know who I am? Another series of symbols materialize quickly and sharply into focus above Fel's head. The translation comes to you just as quickly and sharply as the symbols themselves, and as if you have translated the exact same string many times before. Yes, but I am not permitted to tell you the story. Why not? For a moment there is no response from Fel, then a stream of rebuses appear, as if trickling out of Fel's mind. My apologies, I cannot change the nature of a man. You can't explain why, but the last sentence sends a crawling sensation through your skull. Nature of a man. What does that mean? The symbols that appear above Fel almost mirror the previous stream. My apologies, I cannot say. So you had another questions. Well, let's behind the curtain. Caravan train of symbols slowly materialize around Fel one by one. 'Tis my gallery. Your discarded skins are my canvas. I admire you. I am saddened for you. Saddened for me, why? Another caravan of symbols forms around Fel, this time forming a circle. The mark of Torment lies upon your flesh. Tragedies and loss have built themselves upon it like stones upon a foundation. You have endured great pain. Roll credits. What do you mean? A long string of rebuses appear above Fel's head and surrounds his arms like manacles. I admire you because you have never surrendered to the weight of these losses, despite the fact their chains hang on you still. Go on. Long strings of rebuses appear above Fel's head, then falls, covering him like a cloak. These losses blanket this life and all of your past ones. You shed lives like a molting serpent. You are exploring the infinite paths of life. Tell me more. And this is actually the reason why, in some ways, this is an ultimate RPG. Well, multiple choice, choose your own adventure type of thing, to be honest. A long string of rebuses appear above Fel's head, then fall suddenly to the floor, streaming out behind him like a shadow. Take with you this warning. Each of your life casts a shadow on existence. You must travel to a place where these shadows have gone mad and regrets have scarred the earth. Is there anything else you can tell me? A brief series of paper-thin rebuses appear in an orderly row next to Fel, then vanish into glowing motes. Do not sign anything. Very well. Another series of rebuses appear, forming a spiral. They have the texture of questions about them. Do you feel complete? We will tell the truth about it. I don't. In fact, ever since I woke up in the mortuary, I feel like something's missing. Something inside. Fel nods, and a series of symbols materialize in a halo around him. You are strong. Keep faith, and you shall become whole again. I'll try. Other questions? What is this place? Slow train of symbols materialize around Fel's head. The symbols take several moments to resolve, starting with simple lines and fleshing themselves out into breathtaking colors. This is where I tattoo color and life upon flesh and bone. Okay. We'll ask for tattoos a bit later. You say you met me before, Fel. Do you know how I died? Fel does not respond for a moment, then slowly, menacingly, 3 symbols materialize above his head, each of them casting a long shadow. Shadows. 3 symbols swirl about each other, each leaving faint black misty trail about them. They take on a ragged edge like teeth and talons and multiply. Where there were 3, there is 9. 9 becomes 27 until the room is swarm of shadows. Many shadows. They streamed from the darkness, swarmed you, then left you to die. Why? The shadowed symbols swirl into one, then dissolve to be replaced with a simple symbol. I do not know. Fair enough. Can you tell me about these tattoos I have all over my freaking body? Fel studies your body for a moment, walking around you. He mirrors each symbol as he examines it, then returns to face you. I know them. None are by my hand. Can you tell me about some of them? Fel nods, symbols appearing around him like fireflies. The ones upon your back were scribed with a careful hand and are directions for a mind that forgets itself. The symbol that lies upon your left shoulder is the mark of Torment. Torment? Yes, it's the name of the game. The symbol sharpens, gaining edges that are almost painful to your eyes. It is Torment. It is that which draws all tormented souls to you. Fel nods at your left arm at your shoulder. The flesh knows it suffers even when the mind has forgotten, and so you wear the rune always. Sounds like therapy. Tattoos. Can you see your tattoos, please? Hello? Can't sell him anything, I don't think. Yes, unfortunately. I'd like to sell stuff. Tattoo of the skull. No. To hit. No. This one damage. Tattoo of might. This one to strength. Insight, spirit, action, health, presence, enduring. At the moment, I don't want any of these, to be honest.
Alright.
Let's see what we got there. It's like a bunch of skin. Huh? Human skin has been stretched across these wooden frames. The skins are covered with tattoos. Yeah. Yeah, Phil, you're a weird guy. But we will be revisiting many times. And we will want some of the tattoos that he has. Well, we got the slots for it anyway, don't we? Dark and Wilder, hello. Growl at him. This wild-eyed man is hunched over, snarling and giving low growls. Looks like he hasn't trimmed his hair in years. It's so long it forms a veil over his eyes. He has a long, stringy mustache, caked with grease and sweat. And the tips of his mustache droop so much that they have become tangled in his ragged beard. Growl. The man stops mid-snarl and he reaches up to part the curtains of his hair to cover his eyes. As his withered hand pulls away his dirty locks, several strange puce-colored bugs. Jesus. Dude, you gotta wash sometimes, you know? Even if you're the chaos, whatever the sect is called, faction, fall from his hands, scatter across the cobbles. Behind the cloak of hair, the man's flesh is moon pale and creased with wrinkles. His thick, bushy eyebrows form a V as he stares at you. And my thick the moon's up the flood. Moon, moon, snoom, noom. The man frowns, but his eyebrows tilt upwards in a reverse V, creating a bizarre expression. You have no idea how he accomplishes this facial expression, but it makes you uncomfortable watching the muscles beneath his face shift into the new pattern. You can't tell whether he's angry, curious, both or neither. Singed kiss speak a man as a wooden woman's heart. Improvised song. Single man, shingle man, through the forest they go, a wooden woman's heart, never apart, and laughing in the snow. The man seems mesmerized by your voice. With every word you speak, a light flickers in his eyes. Barking wild am I wanting, asking, may you may. You may and I will. Who or what are you? Kayosh, he stuttered the word as if having difficulty getting his tongue around it. Some say Xalciticts. I say Stektisaux, chaos man. So they like chaos. They would fit right in the 40k world. I'm not reading any of this nonsense. Okay. May I join the chaos man? He looks at you askance, shrugs, then bends forward to sniff you. Squat, stiff, blah, 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 sod. Very well then. Well, that's a tree with one snap branch too many. Morty rolls his eyes. No sense in chatting with Xalcitic's chief there, balmy, but I still don't know how to pronounce this correctly. Who are they again? They are a faction who don't have any rules, except don't keep one thought in their head for too long. They're sometimes called Chaos Man. No need to explain why. How did they get members? They just seem to attract members like flies. Well, members that are crazy or chaotic enough, I suppose. I don't think they have any recruiters, though. You really can't say anything about them for sure. Thanks for the info. We are not chaotic yet, is the problem. We are just... I mean, I don't even care to join them. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. They're not quests. I don't think they sell anything. I might be wrong. I'm tired of these fucking hive thugs. I really am. They really do make me a little bit sick. Balkin Wilder. July. Okay. July. Shaking. You see a thin man? This thing close, a hooked nose, and two stubby horns jutting from his forehead. Oh god, another bloody fiendish boy. He's stumbling about and muttering to himself. He stinks of brine, vomit, and cheap wine. He's a musketeer. Hey, the man squints blearily. Was it what? Never mind, bitch. But we'll be coming back to you because you got a name. A drunk. Haven't we had enough of this? Drunk. Spins way unsteadily back and forth, catches his balance for a moment, then manages a sickly twisted smile as something just past your right ear. Out of something. He nods slowly, then manages a phlegm-filled gurgle, and a small green-colored trail of drool begins to drip from the side of his mouth, running down into his scruffy dirt-cake beard. He looks like he's barely able to stand up, much less carry on a conversation. Never mind. Now this Marissa, I don't remember what she does. You see a young woman dressed in a tight leather bodice and leggings. She smells faintly of cheap perfume, and her face, though pretty, is painted with garish makeup. She smiles coyly as she sees you. Seeking some company, love? Yeah, but I have some questions. Sorry, love. Oh, yeah. What if I did want to, you know, have some bonky monkey time with her? No, I can't do that, can I? Alright then. Another drunk. Another drunk. Now, can anyone guess why we have so many drunks around? Because this is the Burning Man Bar. Don't care to fight you. Sorry, smoldering corpse. Drusilla. Here you are. Hello, Ignis. Yes. This is the man that Mr. Requiem has been telling us about. Anyway, Drusilla first. This is a woman with fading bruises in her face and arms and a look of despairing longing in her sunken eyes. She might have been pretty once, but those days were long ago. She turns slowly to face you. Life pours into her features, and the spark of sardonic light that dances in her eyes now makes you wonder if your eyes were deceiving you. Welcome to the smoldering corpse, scarred man. Who are you? Oh, I am Drusilla, and you must be clueless. Don't ask me how I know that. It just shines off of you. Clueless, I think no. She smirks at you, and her bruise almost seem almost to fade. Whatever you say, dearie. I'm looking for a journal. My journal? Oh, sure, I've kept an eye out for all straight journals, just in case some scarred man walks into my favorite bar and starts asking about it. Do you ask that of everyone you meet? What a fascinating life. You have a smart mouth on you, don't you? Yay, a smart mouth for a smart head. I ain't the adult cove you might think, sod. I got a brain on me. You're so smart you should be able to answer my questions. What can you tell me about this place? Here! This is a smoldering corpse. Though the person smoldering ain't dead yet, he's just keeping himself alive till someone comes along to help him out. Sorts who like to see people in pain come here. Fiends like it. Folks who don't much care for being bothered come here too. The name alone keeps him out of most of the bugs. Who's he anyway?
My journal.
That despair you saw on her face before flits across it again like a black-winged shadow before she masters herself. That's Cygnus, one of the greatest wizards ever to come out of the slummy excuse or cesspool. They keep jumping from accent to accent. They caught him and he opened a channel and the plane of fire through him. And now he's just a doorway for it, keeping himself alive by force of will alone. Someone could douse him for a few moments, it'd give him his life back. But they don't make enough water to do that. Well, someone should be able. What's your connection to him? Her voice practically throbs with a deep ache. Our Cygnus is lover, and he my beloved. He loved the flame more than me, and now he has become the flame. And because I love him, I love the flame. But that's all done with now. Now I'll wait for him to douse himself. I'll sell what little I have just so I can be near him. Okay. I'm looking for a collector. Barry, she's the collector king. You could probably find him in his stinking ilk in the trash warrens on the far side of the hive. Good luck in getting any answers from him. He's a sly devil, he is. Yeah. Who's this burning? Yeah. I think we asked them. We answered that already. Good day. Good day to you. Good day to you, my lady. Now, this bar is full of all sorts of motherfuckers. A bunch of mercy killers. Let's talk to Kandarian first. You see a soft-looking man with gentle, staring eyes. He dresses in supple leather clothing and carries various implements of use and destruction about his body, such as ropes, spikes, tinderboxes, and empty vials of ale. He looks half gone. Literally, there is an insubstantiality. There is an insubstantiality about his existence as if his essence had been partially leached away. He focuses those eyes on you, and suddenly you find them gripping and determined. Greetings to you, O Seeker. Greetings. He carefully sets down the mug he's holding and gives you all his attention. I have seen the far reaches of the multiverse and returned to tell the tale. I have walked upon the bodies of dead gods and spun moonbeams in the astral ahead of 1,000 shrieking Githyanki nights. I have passed the edges of existence and watched my essence shiver away before me. All of that's going to fade with the rain and the butterflies. What is it I can do for you? Some questions for you. Perhaps I have answers for you. Speak and I shall tell you. I met a woman named Ingress with very bad teeth. She said she can come through a portal. She had come through a portal from some world that was opened by a tune hummed near 2 crossed trees. Can you get her home? He pauses briefly, thinking. I know the portal of which you speak. I have not traveled it these 30 years gone. I will take her home, Seeker. Go tell her to await my arrival, then meet me back here, and I will tell you if I was successful or not.
Updated my journal.
Perhaps I have answers for you. Who are you? I'm Candariel, ill-born traveler, dreamer, tailspin, and so forth. You're a traveler? Tell me of the plains. I am tired, Seeker, so tired. I'm fresh back from negation. I will answer what I can for you, but I cannot promise that you will find satisfaction in the answers I give. What would you know? Would you hear of the outer planes, the prime planes, or the inner planes? Let's go about outer planes. Now, the outer planes. Where should I start? Do you know the cardinal rules of the planes, on which all others are based? Do you know about the composition of the outer planes? Do you know of the Great Ring and its division in our hearts? Do you know of the individual planes? Each of these leads to the next, and so it is best to start from the beginning. What are you doing? I am fresh back from negation, and I'm trying to restore my essence before it slips away from me altogether. Now, he would explain to you about the planes, etc., etc. I'm not going to reread it. It's just filler. It's interesting, but I don't think I'm fit to do that. Negation, what do you mean? His eyes cloud over. I went to the inner planes to discover my true essence. I made the mistake of visiting the negative material plane in order to understand my body's urge to decay and the cycle of death in life. I thought myself protected against the ill effects of the plane with my magic, but I was wrong. The blackness of infinite nothing pressed on my soul, and I was beset by shadows that sought to snuff out my very soul. I lost my way for a time, for an eternity, and merely lost my existence. I could feel my essence falling away from me, and am even now half gone. Never will I return. Show more. How did you survive? How did I survive? He smiles tightly. With a piece of nothing that held back the nothing. Nothing can stop nothing, you know. And so I carried nothing in my hand to protect me. Do you plan to journey to the ultimate negation yourself? You have the smell of desperation about you, and so I make you this gift. Hold it in your hand when the shadows press in, and it should protect you and your friends somewhat should they remain close to you. He passes you a small black token that looks as if it has no dimensionality to it at all. Thanks. I had more questions. He's got a lot of stuff to say. We told him about Ingrid, so he's gonna sort her out. I think, as far as I remember. Oh, there you go. This. He gave us this as well. It's a negative token. And special, a ward against shadows, holds shadows creatures temporarily. This is a negative token, a flat black disc that appears to have no substance to it at all. Turning it over reveals that it has no third dimension. There is no thickness to this item at all. It gives you some command over creatures of shadow. You can command them to stand still for a few precious seconds. The more powerful the shadow, the less likely they will obey your command. As an added benefit, as long as this token is carried by any of your party members, it acts as a ward against shadows. It will not prevent shadows from attacking your group. The shadows will find it more difficult to harm you while the token is carried. So it's a pretty useful item. Because we will be meeting some shadows, as was foreshadowed previously. Creekness! You see a slightly stooped old man with a full grey beard and a lion's mane of grey hair. He wears a couple of shoulder guards as armor, and he keeps a helmet nearby. He smokes a pipe and carries a pouch of tobacco around his waist. He looks pretty strong, but he's a little plump and also appears to have some sort of breathing trouble. Well now, aren't you a sight, lad? Never have I seen so many scars blanketing a fella. Like a scar clock you're wearing. Where you been? Hang out in a grain thresher? He laughs. Oh, I'm just jesting with you, lad. No offense meant, and I hope no offense taken. I'm Abe. He extends his hand. Greetings, Abe. Look, you gotta be polite. His handshake is firm. Now, I hereby tender my apologies for the unfair jesting, lad. Hope no hard feelings. Can I buy you a tankard or two or something to smooth any ruffled feathers? Why not? That's the spirit, lad. Bide a moment. He rises to his feet and heads to the bar. After a moment, he returns to his seat with a pair of tankards. Here you go, lad. Drinks up. He takes a massive swallow from his own tankard, puffs on his pipe, and says, "What can old Eb do for you on this fine sigil day?" Had some questions about this place. Oh, well, I gathered that. Just to look at you. I mean, you don't look like you're from around these parts, lad. You look a little too out of sorts to be a seasoned native. Abe chuckles, then takes another drink. So what can I help you with, lad? You need to know the lay of the land. Abe winks. Who are you? Abe Creekness, third measure of the harmonium. Not retired of being a tout with one's voice, since I don't step as lightly as I might these past 2, 3, or 3 decades. He chuckles. Now, lad, who be you and what trouble might you be in? Third measure of the harmonium? What the fuck is that? Ed puffs up slightly in pride and gets a semi-stern look on his face. Hey, third measure of the harmonium. He relaxes a little. Though I haven't served the Tower of Duty in many a decade, pushing a quill wasn't quite up my alley after all the fights and skirmishes I've been in. So I just bide my time keeping tabs on things down here in the hive and helping out a little where I can. And you look like someone who might need a hand. Are you in some sort of trouble, lad? Well, a few troubles. I woke up in the morning and seemed to have forgotten who I am. Hey? Eb blinks and frowns. What was that you said, lad? That you woke up in the mortuary? Eb studies you closely. Oh, now, did they mistake you for dead under all the scars, mayhap? Eb chuckles. Can't say I haven't, but would have been any smarter, he puffs his pipe. Them dusties, he catches himself. I mean, them dustmen. Dusties being a rude term to refer to them pale-faced fellas, and I don't mean them too much disrespect. They have all the perceptions and friendliness of a gravestone sometimes, eh? Can't say I couldn't see them screwing that up, no, lad. Yes, that's what I've heard. I had some other questions. What other places can you recommend where you talk too much? Well, Ed puffs on his pipe and studies you. This is perhaps the best kip you could have wandered in from the start. Judging from the tattoos, you might be partial to him designs on your body. In which case, there's a tattoo salon near a little spireward from here. We've already been there. You want to stay away from the alley or dangerous angles if you can. Ignis touched that place not long ago, and ever since a bunch of bad bloods ever set up their kip in that stretch of desert. Okay. Come here, Sidja. You don't think small, do you? If you want to know about what's outside the city, go talk to Candriel Ilborn over there. There's the travel of this place. As for the rest of it, well, I can tell you of the lady. The Dalos keys and parcels and the way to keep track of time, the way the city's laid out. What do you want to know? You see, we already know all this shit. And is there any use asking him anything? I don't think so. Farad? No. Farad? Ed frowns, takes the pipe from his mouth. Now, lad, what you be wanting with a Burke like Farad? I think you stole some of my belongings. Oh, no doubt, lad, no doubt. Ed grumbles, chewing his pipe. You have to chain up everything around that grasping little spider. He should have been one of the fated the way anything not chained down slips into his parlor. Don't give him a yard or he'll take a league, eh? What do you know about it? Well, now, I don't know everything there is to know about old Farad, but I know some of the dark surroundings about him. You're determined to track down that spider and nail him to a wall, then I suppose you could spill some of the chance so you know what you're tangling with. He pauses to tap his pipe. Farad dug his nest deep in the Rack Picker Square not too long ago. Got a bunch of collectors and gangs together and started what one could almost consider a collecting faction. Bit it as it may. Be that as it may be. Where can I find him? Well, if you're looking for Farad, which I would say is pretty barmy of you, you're a little off the beaten path. You want to be finding Rackpicker Square. Chant as that Farad set up his kip somewhere in the square. Even an old fella like me who's been around the ring a few times, don't know exactly where. I figured that Farad wants to keep the dark on his location. If you're all bound and determined to find Farad, go to Rackpicker Square and try and dig up Farad's location from some of the locals. Try and be careful about it, since there's plenty of it in the square that would make a gut hop out of you as soon as look at you. Okay. Third measure of the well, what fights and skirmishes have you been in? Eb rolls his eyes. More than I can remember, lad. Well, almost more than I can remember. Less-wise. I did an all too long tower in the Blood Wars, that infernal muck-up war of lies and terrors, far too many years in the Black Centuries War. Eb begins to tick off the walls of his finger and counts silently to himself. Hey, then there was the Three Plains War and many others. I took part in the Harmonian War of Liberation. Oh, towards the end there, I was also in the Sigil City Watch. Some could argue that was the most dangerous of them all. He laughs loudly. The mention of the Blood Wars feels like a cold dagger slipping into your heart. The Blood War. Tell me of the Blood War. Ebsai is oblivious of your reaction. Hey, the Blood War. The most dangerous family feud this side of primordial soup. A mean-spirited mob of fiends on one side, a batch of warmonger fiends on the other. It's the war that creation sparked, and they've been digging into each other ever since. Huh? Two sets of fiends warring each other, eh? Hey, the Tanari, vicious killers who care for none but themselves, and the Batezu war machine, all for law and order under the infernal rules. The whole mess spills out into other planes from time to time, and it's made the multiverse a less pleasant place to live. No, I don't think this guy actually offers anything interesting. But we might check on him later. Okay. There's too many guys here. Look at this. A lace. See a trim, muscular man dressed in clothing that is comparatively drab and mundane compared to most of the outfits you've seen in the city. He carries himself with an air of supercilious arrogance. I need to look that word up. That's a word I do not know. He also looks dramatically out of place here. What do you want? He asks. Who are you? I'm Alace, warrior of renown. Surely you've heard of me? No. Can it truly be? Can it truly be that none of this in this town have heard of me or my exploits? Alas, I shall have to prove myself all over again. Here I had thought my fame had spread across the world. What world are you from? I come from the city of Aliburn, on the river Tame. Surely you have heard this glories and wonders. No matter, no matter. This place is benighted and ignorant when it comes to the splendor of true cities. I'm told that my land is what is called a prime by the denizens of the city, though a prime of what I do not know. So he's from the Prime Plains. Okay, how did you get here? I was chasing my old foe, the villainous life-shaped Tanalel. He pauses, waiting for acknowledgement, and then continues. He conjured his demonic magic and opened himself a doorway and hurled himself through it. Before he could flee me entirely, I threw myself after him and found myself here. I get it. You're one of the clueless. No, I don't know. Don't know what that means. He bristles, reddening, and his hand clutches convulsively around the hilt of his sword. Clueless, is it? I take offense to your words, Sirrah, and bid you farewell in the hopes that we should never cross paths again. Why is that an option? Like, I'm... Where... Okay, I don't understand. I'd like to apologize to you. He appears entirely shocked, as if the notion of apologies is alien to him. You wish to apologize? That's what I said. Then, I suppose as a point of honor, I must accept your apology. Very well, in return offer my apology as well. Let us set the matter aside and speak no more of it. Very well. Could you answer some questions? Patrons? I have met only the elderly Ebb Creekness, who has been instructing me in the ways of the city and the plains. My foe's spell must have catapulted us far across the world, for I know of no plains near our former location. No, planes, as in planes of existence. They are planes of the imagination, of thought and belief. They're not physical prairies or grasslands, but other dimensions. A look of confusion passes across his face. I understand. What the old man said is starting to make sense. Excuse me, I must think this over, and farewell. So, a very clueless bastard. Okay. Now, before we start on the... Because this time, I'm just talking to everybody here. And I'm done. There's too many guys. There's too many guys. Is what it is. Take a little break and I'll... Okay. Sounds good. You quicks, what are you doing? See a short, rotund man with a perplexed expression on his face. From the lines on his loose skin, it looks like it's not too uncommon. He carries a flagon of ale that looks like it's in the process of being emptied rapidly. Good. In between swallows, he speaks in a gentle voice so quiet that you can barely hear his words. Hello, traveler. My name is Elquings. Can I be of some assistance to you? Greetings. What did you want to know, my friend? What exactly are you? I am but a humble man with a slight, flowery poetical bent and a tendency towards the supernatural. Ooh, I regret that I have none of my supplies here, or I should be most eager to teach you of the ways of power. Perhaps sometime later? Yes, I'd like that. Can you tell me this place? This place is a smouldering corpse town, a fine establishment with a fine owner. Barkis is a true gentleman and ambitious to increase his standing to boot. These, I feel, are the most useful qualities one can possess. The patrons. The patrons of this tavern are many and varied. I have spoken with most and find them delightful, with the exception of those creatures of law. He gestures towards the pair of Abishais sitting in the corner. They taint the air with their presence, lending an unwholesome stench to an otherwise pleasant environment. I completely agree. My friend Ilquix, I couldn't agree more. Yes. I recommend speaking to Barkis. I understand he requires some aid with a trifling matter. Then we have that O character. Oh, my favorite character, O. I am still trying to understand him fully. It is quite an undertaking, if I say so myself. Those are the folks of interest here. The others, well, perhaps I'm too discriminating. I do despise creatures of law. Fine question, my friend. My upbringing has been on the chaotic side of the Great Ring. You may speak to Candrian Illborn, a misnomer if I ever heard one, of the plains. He fancies himself a great plane worker. To return from a digression, I have lived my many years with chaos and find it pleasantly agreeable. To me, the taint of law, as in those creatures there, is reprehensible and tyrannical. He doesn't sound like a chaotic character, though. If I am to be crushed underfoot, I'd rather it be by an individual than a machine that knows nothing of emotion. I very much agree. Ilquix smiled soothly, his fat cheeks barely moving. To each his own, I say. Did you have any more questions? Yes. Who's that burning man? That is the last unfortunate who chose to exercise his individual will without the strength to back up his desires. His name is Ignis, and he was a pyromaniac. He burned and didn't burn the right people, and wound up channeling more raw power than he could control. Now, well, you can see what became of him. If you wish to learn more of him, perhaps the poor creature Drusilla can help you. Okay. Barkis. Talk to me. See, a leather-skinned man with just a hint of ashen colour to his face. His teeth seem sharper than normal, and his eyes are filled with the boredom that comes with having seen too much. His voice is nasal and clipped. You again, eh? What do you want? You again? What do you mean? Yeah, you again? You got a hearing problem or something now? You was in here about 15 years ago, got all bobbed up, smashed up the place, and left a pile of coin that wasn't enough to pay for the damages. So you plucked out your own bleeding eyeball and tells me you'll be back to reclaim it when you got 200 coins more together. With 15 years of interest, you got about 500 coins. You got the chink pile, got your eye. 500, that's ridiculous. That it is. Tell you what, give me 300 and the eye is yours. It's a deal, here's the money. It's a deal. He produces a darkened wax, stoppered, wide-mouthed bottle from his pocket. Hear the sound of liquid sloshing around inside it, along with a heavier, squishier noise. Opening it, the stench of some sort of preservative agent nearly makes you gag. Floating in the viscid muck, what is an eyeball? You'd better figure out what you want to do with that. Now you've exposed it to the air, you might as well put a pickled egg in the jar for all good it'll do you. Make up your mind, cut a pickled egg or not. Tear out your eyeball and place this one in the socket. Basically we'll be doing this every time we find a buddy part of ours. 1000 XP. With a moment's hesitation, you reach into your socket and pop your eye into the palm of your hand. The bartender helpfully severes the optic nerve and directs your hand to the jar of goo that sits on the bar. You deposit your eye in the preservative, wrap your fingers around the old one, and slide it in your empty socket. The pain of this entire operation is incredible. After a moment, though, you can feel the optic nerve reattaching itself to his new eye, and suddenly you are hit by a flash of memory. Absorb it. Memory flash. A vast expanse of chaotic, ever-changing wasteland stretching before you. A group of humanoid vultures plummeting towards you. Cruel weapons ready to strike, and your own shining blade clutched tight in your fist. 3 toughs surround you, in the colors of an enemy you can't quite place. Long daggers glisten in their hands, and the light glints cruelly from their exposed teeth. You glance at your scarred hands and know that soon they'll be covered in blood. An enormous frog-like creature comes bounding over through under chaos stuff, headed for you with a mouthful of teeth. You hurl your javelin through the shifting matter and ping the creature to a sudden stone plinth. You have recalled some of your lost fighting skills. Small questions about this. Proficiency point increased permanently. Nice. Actually, we don't need it. Oh, wait. No. I leveled up. Good. You can tell me other patrons are here. Don't make it a point in fear with the lives of the people who give me their hand harder and jink unless they ask me to do so. So, over there is Kandrian Planewalker. He's a good one to talk to about any Planewalker question you might have. He's been pretty much everywhere. Down there is Creekness, an old harmonium basher. Don't hold that against him. And a tout. He's got a good heart in him, and he knows sigil up and down. Them fiends over there are Ethelgrin and Tegarin. Word of advice, don't deal with them. They might be low rankers in the fiend hierarchy, but they're still fiends. You got Ilquicks over there, not trustworthy, and some mercy killers looking for some poor sod. Dakan the Gitzerai is a mystery to me. Don't know much about him. He don't talk much. Finally, you know some free bub? Yes. There's a bubba over against the far wall, hanging about in the shadows, who's been trying to work up the courage to slip out without covering her tab. I want you to make sure she don't do that. You do it, you got free bubby for life. I'll do it. I think that's the quest, is it? Mercy killers. Ugh. What's this? This one's functional door is now nailed shut and barred on the inside to protect against thieves. Interesting. There's Dakan, there's we need Dakan. Smoldering corpse patron. Smoldering corpse patron. And Miss Machai. Hello. See someone dressed as a female dustman with a half-empty glass in her hand. So near her, she calls out to you. You over here. You notice there's something wrong about her. The exposure to the dustman leads you to believe that she's just too lively to be a real member of the faction. Approach her. Hey, Cutter, buy a lady a drink. You're not really a dustman, are you? She looks around nervously and seems to sober right up. Why, would you say that? Because you don't act like a dusty and you're not offering contracts. In fact, you're taking money in instead of giving it out for that corpse labor they do at the mortuary. She stifles a squeak of terror and hastens to explain. No, I am not a dustman. I just found these robes in the street and I didn't have enough money to get good clothes. And I heard there was a dustman thief around. But you could probably find him somewhere else in the southwest part of the hive. I saw him, but I hid from him. Please don't hurt me. Give me some... I'm not playing out. You ought to know that you're not pulling it off too well. Now answer some questions. Barky says it's time for you to sell their tab. Pay up. She jumps a little and her nervous tension becomes full-fledged anxiety. What are you going to do? Ask you to go. Pay up. Now. I can't afford it. Can you spot me just 10%? I'll give it to him and he knows I'll pay the rest. How much do you need? I think I need about 100 coins to get started. Should we just poison her brain? Drink. I never done that. I don't want to spend money. I think every time I would help her because every time in almost every playthrough I'd help her because she's so pathetic. But I'm feeling rather evil today, so I will just poison her. Over where? She whips her head around to stare where you're pointing and pauses for a moment as she focuses her drink-addled eyes. I don't see anything. Poison the drink. What are you doing? She sees you reading your bottles and balancing and watches you suspiciously. Just putting my bottle on the table. I bought my own drink. She looks at you for a moment longer, swaying where she stands and then says, alright, did you want something else? Yes, some answers. I think we need Dex to pull this off and we don't have enough. Pay up. Pay up. Pay up. Another way to pay, huh? She smiles, said. You could always kill me. Could, but I'd rather find another solution. I'll just lend you the money. I see. Well, I didn't have the heart to kill her. These guys, we'll talk to them next time. We'll talk to they're not essential, and I don't think they actually. Let her finish this walk of shame. Oh, and I leveled up. Okay, let's try that. We're still neutral. Good. Jesus. Level up. 1 character point, 4 hit points. Accept. Let's go for charisma. Faction. Don't balance on a faction at the moment. So do I have to wait for her to get to walk all the way over there? Pay the tab. Here's some money. I'll bring more later. I'll send him after you again. Interesting. Alright. You won't be having trouble with more chai again. Entering, you'll have full ball privileges, full free. That must have been a pretty big tab she ran. You don't know the half of it. You want to drink that? Set me up. Whiskey. I don't even feel anything. Good, no thanks. I'm not getting drunk just yet. I'll do that later. I'll do it next time. There are 2 characters I want to talk to before I finish. No, I don't care about Ignis. We can't do anything about him at the moment anyway. So let's talk to O. You see a man standing stock still. He isn't moving a muscle. On closer examination, it appears that he isn't even breathing, just standing. His eye sockets are empty holes in his face. Contained within their bounds is a flat grey light that seems to dance with possibility. Looking into the sockets, the eerie, empty feeling of limitless void shivers through you, as if you had gazed into a sliver of eternity. The head slowly swivels toward you. You notice that no muscle appears to move under the skin as he turns, and he speaks in a pure bell-like tone. Well met, wanderer. You have forgotten again, haven't you? Do you know me, stranger? As he opens his mouth, you get that feeling of eternity again. Inside his mouth, you see no tongue, no teeth. It's almost as if this man was a shell surrounding an illimitable expanse. I have spoken with you before, and always you forget. Your endless quest to discover yourself ends always in your amnesia. You draw close to the truth and recoil. Let us hope that you have the strength to endure existence. What do you know of me? How do you know this? I know that you, like a fly, rise up from the wreckage of your old shell, buzz about for a time, and curl up and die at the window of truth. You bumble about the pain, seeking the light without any plan for to your action, and fall exhausted when you fail. You alight on others to feed from them for a time, and move on with no regard to them. I have watched you come here and listened to your words, and watched you move away no wiser. Will you learn from your mistakes, Seeker? I don't think I like your tone. Though his face does not smile, the humor is evident in his voice. Is your answer to all your problems to fight blindly? Are you no more than a biting insect, or will you achieve a thought at some point in your pitiful existence? Who are you to speak to me this way? I am O. For some reason, when he speaks his name, it sounds like he's speaking of much more than a single letter, as if the speaking of his name contained untold possibilities and nuances. No human tongue could ever create such a sound. What are you? It is my name. It is the name of a portion of eternity. I am a letter in the divine alphabet. Understanding me leads to understanding existence. I am writ in the true names of half of everything. My being encompasses truth. I am mathematic, organic, and metaphysic. Ugh, full of shit. So what does that mean? The divine alphabet is writ in the name of everything that exists, from the seed of the heart of the elemental planes to the core of the great beyond. My brothers, sisters, a single word translates into the two in your mind. And I reach across all that is, was, or ever shall be. We are thought and reality and concept and the unimaginable. Tell me about the great beyond. You would not understand. No mortal possibly could. It is beyond the powers of comprehension of all but the most powerful of powers, and once they understand, they move beyond the veil of mortal comprehension. I can explain it no more than that. Perhaps sometime you will understand. So what are you doing here? Why, I'm watching the ebb and flow of mortality. And what do you see? You mortals are like wasps. You build your lives' nests from the slimmest of branches, and when the wind shakes your home life free, you seek to sting the wind to death. Instead of realizing your foolish mistakes, attempting to repair the damage you have caused yourself, and learning from your experience, you bring harm to any who have the misfortune to blunder near you in your time of pain and distress. My advice to you, and to all mortals, stop acting like an insect, and start acting sentient. Oh, are you full of shit, Oh. I actually love this character, for some reason. He's so weird. I'll think about it. Now I'm looking for a journal it's urgent. Do you know? I know where you can find it, but it's not my place to reveal such information. Rest assured you will find it, as well as the man you seek. Do you know where Farad is? I know where he is. I can give you only one word. Nearby you will find him in the hive. Yeah, it's full of shit. He's full of shit. Tell me about yourself. I'm O. What sort of name is that? So what does that mean? Then that means you know all the secrets of existence, doesn't it? I know parts of many of them. Without a connection to my brother, since I am but a letter, alone I am a symbol, combined with language and power. So you don't know the secret. I did not say that. A letter is still a powerful force, even on its own. Allow me to show you. He opens his mouth wider and wider still. The mask of his face tears around his eyes, mouth, and nose, revealing that hint of eternity. And it looks like an O inside, probably. You glimpsed earlier. You are lost in it, adrift in it, a part of it. You return to your mundane senses and realize that O has vanished, yet somehow your horizons have expanded and enlightenment has brushed you, however briefly, across the brow. That was indescribable. Wisdom +1. I forgot he did that. But maybe that's why I like the character. We are at Wisdom 19. Okay. Time to speak to Dakin. Jesus Christ. I need to smoke before I do that. This guy. I love him and I hate him. He talks too much, is the problem. Okay. So. What does Mr. Dakin is to tell us? What does he have to tell us? Hello. The man before you is old. His dry yellow skin has the scars of one who has traveled everywhere and never rested long in any one place. His pinched face is inhumanly angular, and his ears sweep out from his skull, tapering to points. Ooh, elf. He wears a loose-fitting orange tunic, and a strange shimmering blade is strapped across his back. The blade looks to be a two-pronged glaive made of some metal whose surface swirls like a film of oil in a pond. Shit. What kind of maniac is this? Greetings. The man turns to you, his eyes like polished coal. He stares through you, and for a moment you wonder if he might be blind. The weapon suddenly turns a dead flat black, mirroring the man's eyes. Are you alright? He says nothing for a moment, merely searches your face with his eyes. Hail, traveller. His voice is quiet and somber, like a windstorm whispering through the branches of a great tree. Hail.
Your eyes are the way to one who has traveled far to be in this place.
The man meets your gaze, his eyes burrowing into yours. His weapon drains of its black color, resuming its shimmering you noticed before you spoke to him. Your eyes have the weight of one who has traveled far to be in this place. You could say that. The man's gaze does not waver from yours. I am known as Dakan. The emphasis he places on the word "no" strikes you as odd, yet familiar at the same time. You are not known to me. I do. Never tried number 3, actually. You are not known to me. We are beneath the same sky in this matter, then. Dakan is silent for a moment, still studying you with his cold black eyes. The planes number many infinities, yet you are here. I would know why you have come to this city. I'm looking for answers. I have many questions. Speak your questions, I will hear you. Your features are unfamiliar to me. What are you? A Gidgerai. A Gidgerai? A Gidgerai is one of the people. One of the people? A Gidgerai. Thanks for the explanation. Yes, but how the Gidgerai... What are the Gidgerai exactly? Dakan is silent for a moment, then speaks. Our history does not need to be made known to you. We would bleed to death on time's blade before I recited a fraction of the histories of our people. I don't need to know your histories, but I would know of your people as they are now. Dakan is silent for a moment. Know this, and accept it as an answer. We are the people who make our home upon the shifting plane of limbo. With a deft motion, Dakan slips the blade from his back and holds it before him. Wait, see what happens. There we mold the matter of limbo with our minds. We forge cities with our thoughts. As you watch a series of rippling waves of metal begin to roll forth from the center of the blade, the pitch and crest of the waves match the inflections in Dakan's voice. In its chaos we dwell, with only our knowing to preserve us. We are the Gidgerai. What is that blade you have? It moved, shifted in response to your voice. It is a Karach blade. It is an object that lets others know the rank of the wielder. Karach, what does that mean? Dakan falls silent for a moment as if searching for the correct words. In your tongue, the closest translation is chaos matter. The people may shape it with their thoughts. Shape it with their thoughts. Karak is not shaped by heat, but by knowing oneself. It is a mirror that reflects the will of the wielder on its surface and in its age. When one knows themselves, the blade is strong, harder and stronger than steel. When one does not know themselves, the blade is as water, formless and weak. What rank does this blade signify? I know he won't sell it. The blade is a symbol carried by the Zerth, as Zerth is one who knows the words of a Zerthimon. Knowing the words of Zerthimon, they know themselves. Zerthimon founded our race. He knew the Gidgerai before they knew themselves. He defined the people. He gave them one mind. Can you tell me about the city? It is known by the name of Sigil. Among the people, it is known as the city that does not know itself. It does not know itself? What do you mean? Idiot. The city exists, but it does not know itself. In not knowing itself, its existence is flawed. How is it flawed? The city exists in opposition to itself. It has set itself apart from the planes, yet it seeks to be everywhere at once. Its walls are doors, yet it keeps these doors locked. Such an existence tells us of a thing that does not know itself. In not knowing itself, it is flawed. Now, truth. What if the city is not flawed? A thing does not need to be ordered and have a purpose to know itself. What is these contradictions and strengths that you cannot see? What if the city is not flawed and you just do not know the reason of its contradictions? There is order in everything. Perhaps there is an underlying pattern you cannot. Now, this is a chaos or a lawfulness answer, and we will try the chaos one. I think that's what it is. To your question, what if the city is flawed and you see its contradiction all around you? Truth. To your question, a question. You claim the city's existence is flawed. You have accepted this rather than explore the possibility that something greater may exist. That suggests you are flawed, and that you do not search for knowledge but only for a convenient answer. That shut you up, bitch. Dakin falls silent. There is no knowing the answer to the question we have asked, yet the city exists. That is all. Yet I would maintain that we know ourselves by the questions we ask and the ones we do not. If we cease asking questions and accept only what we can perceive, then we will cease to know ourselves. Dakin's voice changes slightly and becomes heavier. I actually like this character quite a lot. Such words, as I do a lot of characters in this game, such words have been spoken before. I've heard them and know them. Where have you heard them? The words are mine. Once I knew them and knew their meaning. I had forgotten them until you spoke. Dakin's gaze travels through you and his blade stops shimmering, bleeding of all color until it is translucent. There is a moment of silence, then Dakin looks up at you. I would travel your paths with you. I'll consider it. I had some other questions first. Speak your questions, I will hear you. You seem to place a special emphasis on knowing. What do you mean? All things, whether structure or flesh, their existence is defined by their knowing of themselves. And if a man does not know himself? When a mind does not know itself, it is flawed. When a mind is flawed, the man is flawed. When a man is flawed, that which he touches is flawed. Dakin pauses. It is said that what a flawed man sees, his hands make broken. Do you know yourself? Dakin falls silent. His coal-black eyes take on the same distance that you noticed when you first spoke. I ask again, do you know yourself? When Dakin speaks again, his voice has changed. His words echo like a great stone dropped into a chasm. It looks like he's forcing the words from his chest. It is not my will that you know this. Perhaps I was being too kind, phrasing it as a question. Tell me. The words come out of Dakin slowly as if they are being carried one by one. It has come to pass that I do not know myself. Why? Dakin's voice drops to a whisper, like sand. I do not know why. I know it has happened, but I know not the how, nor when, nor how to know myself once more. Never mind. What is... Okay, we know about the blade, the Farad, yeah. As you turn to leave, the man speaks sharply. The first time you've ever heard his tone change since the conversation began. Hold! The man's voice levels out. The city is not known to you. I will travel your path with you. You're old, but I accept.
Your path is mine.
Strangely enough, his voice seems distant, and it echoes as if he was speaking from across a great distance. Very well, let's go. Hello.
Endure. In enduring, grow strong. What is your will?
There are things I would know, Duncan. I want to ask you about your travels. No. The Gidzerai. There's a question about Gidzerai language. Can you teach me the ways in which your people speak? Know that the speech of the people has its foundation in history. All things are a story to us. Metaphor is a tool and an inspiration to the strength. Know, when we speak of Torig's table, we remember that Torig was noted for his hospitality and goodwill. When we speak of Selquant's heart, we recall the lecherous and cruel nature of Selquant. Understand what you teach me? Dakin teaches you some of the common forms of speech. A wise man is said to have wrote the book of the Anarchs, while to accuse another of treason is to remember Vilquar's eye. Ha! It is said of generous people that their cupboards are bare. Common greetings include Hail, Sword Ringer, and Zerchai's kin bow to you, to which one should respond, and the traveller is pleased. Dakin is a skilled teacher. After his instruction, you feel capable of exchanging proper greetings with other Gidzerai. Other questions? Other questions. But can I talk to you about your teachings, my friend? Dakin waits. I wish to give up my current profession and resume the study of weaponcraft, Dakin. Can you train me? Now, can you teach me anything of the art? Because we're going to still be a mage. Know that the way of the people is not the same as the art you have to come to know. It's not the energy that gives strength. It is knowing the self that gives strength. The teaching of Zerthimon speaks of such things. Would you teach me the way of Zerthimon? Do you know what you have asked? The texture of Dakin Blaze flows until it becomes as stone. To walk the path of Zerthimon, you must know of the people. The knowing of such things by not of the people is a difficult matter. There are those not of the people who have heard the way of Zerthimon, but they do not know the way. Dakin, I want to know of the people and know Zerthimon's teaching. I believe there is wisdom to be learned in such things. Where did that accent suddenly come from? Anyway, know that I have heard your words, and I shall test them. To learn you must know the people. To know the people you must know the unbroken circle of Zerthimon. Dakin holds up the stone disc in his possession, and his spider-like fingers hook into its sides. There is a click, and the plates of the circle slide into a new configuration. He reverses the motion, sealing the stone. No, the first circle of Zerthimon is open to you. Study it, then I will hear your words. Show more. Very well.
I hear your words.
Hello. Look at this. Whispering Flash. What does that do? +2 strength. I like what it looks like. Healing powder. Well, aid and +2 strength. Nice. Zerth blade. How about this?
The blade will not exist if it is taken from me. The blade will not exist if it is taken from me. The Karak blade is tied to me.
Karak.
Neither may exist without the other. The blade will not exist if it is taken. The Karak blade is the blade will not exist if it is taken from me.
You see a recurring theme in these characters. Anyway.
This ceremonial armor is the symbol of a Zerth. This ceremonial armor is the symbol of a Zerth. This ceremonial armor is the symbol of a Zerth. I will not part with it.
This small round stone is the Unbroken Circle of Zerthimon. The Unbroken Circle is a Zerth religious text containing teachings of Zerthimon, the founder of the Gidgerai people. The circle is made up of a series of interlocking circles that fold out from one another depending on which branch the reader wishes to follow in the path of teachings. It is said that some Zerths spend years poring over the combinations of the plates, looking for new significance in the teachings. Dakon seems to use the text as a means of focusing his spellcasting abilities, for he pores over the tablet, occasionally memorizing the words. Now let's see how fast we can learn this shit. Use. This small round stone is the circle of the Zerthimon. Unlock the first plate as Dakin show you. You mirror the motions that Dakin made upon the circle, and as plates give way to your touch. The rings sliding to new configuration. Upon the rings are a series of symbols. The script is like no writing you have ever seen. It is a series of interlocking geometries, with circles predominating. Just looking at it, you know the symbols are known. You can read them. And looking at the symbols and know you can read them. Read the first circle. Know that we are the first people. Once all was chaos. The first people were thought drawn from chaos. When the first people came to know themselves, they were chaos no longer and became flesh. With their thoughts and knowing of matter, the people shaped the first world and dwelled there with their knowing to sustain them. Yet the flesh was new to the people, and with it, the people came not to know themselves. The flesh gave rise to new thoughts, greed and hates, pains and joys, jealousies and doubts. All of these fed on each other, and the minds of the people were divided. In their division, the people were punished. The emotions of the flesh were strong. The greed and hates, the pains and joys, the jealousies and doubts, all of these served as guiding stone to enemies. In becoming flesh, the first people became enslaved to those who knew flesh only as tool for their will. No, these beasts were the Illithids. The Illithids were a race that had come to not know themselves. They had learned how to make other races not know themselves. They were the tentacled ones. They lived in flesh and saw flesh as tools for their will. Their blood was as water, and they shaped minds with their thoughts. When the Illithids came upon the people were a people no more. The people became slaves. The Illithids took the people from the first world and brought them to the false worlds. As the people labored upon the false worlds, the Illithids taught them the way of the flesh. Through them, the people came to know loss. They came to know suffering. They came to know death, both of the body and mind. They came to know what it is to be the head of another and have their flesh consumed. They came to know the horror of being made to feel joy in such things. The Unbroken Circle is the knowing of how the people lost themselves and how they came to know themselves again. Okay. Hello! Let's talk to you. Talk about teachings. I have read the disc. What did you come to know? This is just reciting the history, isn't it? Strength lies in knowing oneself, and I learn that once someone does not know that they are lost, they become a tool for others. You have come to know the first circle of Zerthimon. You not only see the words of Zerthimon, these are a bit boring. You have come to know them. Dakin holds up the circle and hooks his fingers around the edges. There is a click, and the plates of the circle slide into a new configuration. He reverses the motion, sealing the stone. No, the second circle of Zerthimon is open to you. Study it, then I will hear your words. Very well.
I cannot part with that.
Let's go for the second circle. You slide the plates. Like, if you didn't expect me to do this right away, this is what you gotta do right away. And I'll show you the fruits of this labor a little bit later, because there are effects to this. The amount of shit you get off of your followers is astounding. You slide the plates into the configuration that I can show you, and you are reading the second circle. Know that the flesh cannot mark steel. Know that steel may mark flesh. In knowing this, Zertimon became free. Know that the tentacled ones were of flesh. They relied on the flesh and used it as tools of their will. One of the places where the flesh served their will was the fields of husks on the false worlds of the Illithids. The fields were where the bodies of the people were cast after the Illithids had consumed their brains. When the brain had been devoured, their husks came to be the fertilizer to grow the poison-stemmed grasses of the Illithids. Zertimon worked the fields with no knowing of himself or what he had become. He was a tool of flesh, and the flesh was content. It was upon these fields that Zertimon came to know the scripture of steel. During one of the turnings, as Zertimon tilled the fields with his hands, he came across a husk whose brain remained within it. It had not been used as food, yet it was dead. The thought that one of the husks had died a death without serving as food for the Illithids was a thought Zertimon had difficulty understanding. From that thought came a desire to know what had happened to the husk. Embedded in the skull of the husk was a steel blade. It had pierced the bone. Zertimon realized that was what had killed the husk. The steel had marked the flesh, but the flesh had not marked the steel. Zertimon took the blade and studied its surface. In it he saw his reflection. It was in the reflection of the steel that Zertimon first knew himself. Its edge was sharp. It swilled the wearers. It was the blade that would come to be raised against Gith when Zertimon made the pronouncement of two skies. I would say the whole story of Githzerai and Githyanki and the Illithids is pretty bloody interesting, and it's, you know, well, you'll see anyway. Zertimon kept the blade for many turnings, and many were the thoughts he had about it. He used it in the fields to aid his work. In using it, he thought about how it was not used. The Illithids were powerful. Zertimon had believed that there was nothing that they did not know, yet the Illithids never carried tools of steel. They only used flesh as tools. Everything was done through flesh, for the tentacled ones were made of flesh and they knew flesh. Yet steel was superior to flesh. When the blade had killed the husk, it was the flesh that had been the weaker than the steel. Makes sense? It was then that Zertimon came to know that flesh yielded to steel. In knowing that, he came to know that steel was stronger than the Illithids. Steel became the scripture of the people. Know that steel is the scripture by which the people came to know freedom. Yeah, there's nothing else in there for the time being. Teachings. What did you come to know? I learned that not knowing something can be a tool, just like flesh and steel. If upon encountering it, you attempt to know its nature and how it came to be. You have seen the words and you have seen beyond them. You have come to know the second circle of Zertimon. He takes the circle and with a deft motion he twists one of the links so one of the plates slides forth. But strangely enough, the stone still appears intact. He hands you the plate to you. Meditate upon this teaching and the knowing of it shall give you strength. When you have absorbed it, you shall know more. Very well. Dagon fingers feel around the edges of the stone and he opens another section. I will read it and I will speak to him again. It's an interesting story, I think. You slide the plates into the configuration. The ring carries the same script as you read before with the same geometries. You know the symbol and you know you can read. Read the third circle. Zerthimon laboured many turnings for the Illithid. Arlati twice deceased in his partnership in the cavernous heavens of the false words. His duties would have broken the backs of many others, but Zerthimon laboured on, suffering torment and exhaustion. It came to pass that the Illithid, Arlati twice deceased, ordered Zerthimon before him in his many-vened Galleria. He claimed that Zerthimon had committed slights of obstinance and cowardice against his partnership. The claim had no weight of truth, but Arlati only wished to know if flames raged within Zertimon's heart. He wished to know if Zertimon's heart was one of a slave or of a rebel. Zertimon surrendered to the illicit punishment rather than reveal his newfound strength. He knew that were he to show the hatred in his heart, it would serve nothing and it would harm others that felt as he. He chose to endure the punishment and was placed within the pillars of silence so he might suffer for eternity. Lashed upon the pillars, Zerthimon moved his mind to a place where pain could not reach, leaving his body behind. I wonder why these guys are not just simply monks, but that's besides the point. That's how things happen. It lasted a turning, and when he was brought before Arlati twice deceased, he gave gratitude for his punishment to the illicit as was custom. In so doing, he proved himself a slave in the illicit eyes, while his heart remained free. By enduring and quenching the fires of his hatred, he allowed Arlati twice deceased to think him weak. When the time of the rising came, Arlati was the first of the illicit to know death by Zerthimon's hand and die a third death. I thought, okay. This small round stone is the okay. Hello.
What is your will?
Yes, I've read the circle. So let's go. I've learned that sometimes leading myself, how about endure and grow strong. The words you speak seem to strike Dakan strangely. As you speak them, his forehead creases, then resettles into its normal passive expression. Your will has brought you the knowing of the third circle of Zertimon. With this knowing, I impart this to you. He takes the circle and with a deft motion, he gives me a fourth. He takes a circle with a deft motion, he twists one of the links so one of the plates slides forth. He hands the plate to you. Meditate upon the teachings, and the knowing of it shall give you strength. Very well, I will study the circle. Is there any more you can teach me? As you ask the words, he suddenly notices that Dakan isn't looking at you. He's holding the broken circle in his hand, studying it. His leg has taken on the same texture as the unbroken circle, and Dakan suddenly seems older. So, Dakan? Dakan's black eyes rise from the circle and look at you. Know that I did not believe you would come to know the teachings of the circle. It is a difficult path you will walk in learning the way of Zerthimon. Is your mind focused on this matter? Yes, I wish to learn more. Dakan fingers feel around the edges of the stone circle and he twists it clockwise, the links clicking until they have settled into a new configuration. He then reverses the motion, resetting the stone. The next circle of Zertimon is open. Oh dear. This is very personal for Mr. Dakan. I hate it. I don't want to upset the guy, but that's how it's gonna go. You slide the plates into. There's got to be pain before there is salvation. Pain of salvation, all that. You slide the plates into blah blah. Okay, read the fourth circle. Know that the rising of the people against the Illithid was a thing built upon many turnings of labor. Many of the people were gathered and taught in secret the way of defeating the Illithid masters. They were taught to shield their minds and use them as weapons. They were taught the scripture of steel, and most importantly, they were given the knowing of freedom. Some of the people learned the nature of freedom, took it into their hearts. The knowing gave them strength. Others feared freedom and kept silent. But there were those that knew freedom and knew slavery, and it was their choice that the people remained chained. One of them was Vilquar. Vilquar saw no freedom in the rising, but opportunities, so that the Illithids had spawned across many of the false words. worlds. Their worlds numbered so many that their vision was turned only outwards, to all they did not already touch. Vilquar's eye saw that much took place that the Illithids did not see. To the rising the Illithids were blinded. Vilquar came before his master, the Illithid Gizidiatrotataris, with the knowing of the rising. Vilquar added to his chains and offered to be their eyes against the rising. In exchange, Vilquar asked that he be rewarded for his service. The Illithids agreed to this contract. At the bonding of the contract, a dark time occurred. Many were the betrayals Vilquar committed, and many were the people that the Illithids fed upon the stem of the to stem the rising. It seemed that the rising would die before it could occur, and the Illithids were pleased with Vilquar's eye. It was near the end of this dark time that Zerthimon came to know Vilquar's treacheries. In knowing Vilquar's eyes, Zerthimon forced the rising to silence itself, so that Vilquar might think at last his treacheries had succeeded, and the rising had fallen. He knew that Vilquar's eye was filled only with the reward he had been promised. He would see that what he wished to see. There was a mention of Vilquar's eye previously, and I thought it was like I actually thought of a different thing. I thought of Vecna's eye, and Vecna is a different matter altogether. With greed beating in his heart, Vilquar came upon the Illithid Giziatrotataris and spoke to his master of his success. He said that the rising had fallen, and the Illithids were safe to turn their eyes outwards once more. He praised their wisdom in using Vilquar's eye, and he asked them for his reward. In his great blindness, Vilquar had forgotten the knowing of why the people had sought freedom. He had lost the knowing of what slavery meant. He had forgotten what his Illithid masters saw when they looked upon him. And so Vilquar's betrayal of the people was ended with another betrayal. Vilquar came to know that when Vilquar's eye had nothing left to see, Vilquar's eye was useless. Stupid bitch. Yes. Well, there you go. The moral of the story, don't be a rat. Snitches get stitches. Yes. Let's talk about the latest bit. I've read a circle and snitches get stitches. Why is this so long? I only need one phrase. Snitches get stitches. When one chooses to see only what is before them, they see only a part of the whole. They are blind. And just as Vilquar was blinded by his promised reward, so were the Illithids blind to the true rising. For when they heard Vilquar's words, they turned their sight outwards again, didn't they? And the rising was free to stray. When one chooses to see without another, they betray themselves.
Updated my journal.
Dakon's forehead creases into a frown. Then you have come to know nothing. You are one who hears the words and does not know. Very well, statistics again. What? That's wrong. Is that wrong? So the first one. Oh shit! Like that. That's fucking dumb. Now this part I disagree with. Whatever. Know that you speak truly. Vilquar's eye blinded both Vilquar and the Illithids. The tentacled ones thought the rising to be no more. When the rising occurred, the ground drank deep of Illithid's blood. So was victory brought from treachery. It's a curious lesson, isn't it? Why would it be part of teachings of Zerthimon? Dakon's blade bleeds into a dead night black, and his voice deepens. For a moment you think he's angry, but you're not not so sure. There's much about the way of Zerthimon and his past that is difficult to know. Do you know why? It is part of the telling of how our people came to know freedom. It lets us know that there are those even among the people who are not of the people, and that even the greatest treachery, a greater knowing may be achieved. Very well. I will know more. Dakon's fingers Feel around the edges of the stone circle. He twisted clockwise, the links clicking until they have settled into a new configuration. Let's read more. It's got a lot of circles. 3rd, 4th, 5th. There you go. You slide the plates, and we read it. Zerthmon was the first to know the way of freedom. Yet it was not he that first came to know the way of rebellion. The knowing of rebellion came to the warrior queen Gith, one of the people. She had served the Illithid upon many of the false worlds as a soldier, and she had come to know war and carried it in her heart. She had come to know how others might be organized to subjugate others. She knew the paths of power, and she knew the art of taking from the conquerors the weapons by which they could be defeated. Her mind was focused, and both her will and her blade were as one. The turning in which Zerthmon came to know Gith, Zerthmon ceased to know himself. Her words were as fires lit in the heart of all who heard her. In hearing her words, he wished to know war. He knew not what afflicted him, but he knew he wished to join his blade to Gith. He wished to give his hate expression and share his pain with the Illithid. Gith was one of the people, but her knowing of herself was greater than any Zerthmon has ever encountered. She knew the ways of flesh, she knew the Illithid, and in knowing herself she was to know how to defeat them in battle. The strength of her knowing was so great that all those that walk her path came to know themselves. Gith was but one. Her strength was such that it caused others to know their strength, and Zerthmon laid his steel at her feet. Let's leave it for now.
What is your will?
Yes. The right answer is always the first one, even if you disagree with it. But it might not appear if your wisdom, I think, is not high enough. But never mind. There is a great strength in numbers, but there is a great power in one, for the strength of the will of one may gather numbers to it. There is strength not only in knowing the self, but knowing how to bring it forth in others. Yes, you have come to know. Very well, another one.
Stronger.
Ah, a level up. This is what I like about this whole sequence. You just stand in one place and you level up. Yeah, you have to go through a lot of text. One characteristic. Oh, another character point. Oh, that's interesting. Let's get it to 16. Oops. Can you grab any of that shit? That's too much shit. So for every, let's say, for every circle that you read, you get a spell. Power in one. Not bad. What's that? I don't know. We'll have a look at it later. Submerge the will. Okay. They're automatical as well. That's pretty cool. Okay. Quest item, quest item. Oh, that's not a problem. Now you can learn this. You can learn this. How many? 6. Alright. I spent too much time reading. This is how long this sequence takes. But that's what's got. The unbroken circle of Zerthmon. The pain in the ass. But you'll become very wise. Let's read that. Upon the blasted plains, Zerthmon told Gith there cannot be two skies. In the wake of his words came war. Upon the blasted plains, the people had achieved victory over there. Illithid masters. They knew freedom. Yet, before the green fires had died from the battlefield, Gith spoke of continuing the war. Many, still filled with a bloodlust in their hearts, agreed with her. She spoke of not merely defeating the Illithids, but destroying all Illithids across the plains. After the Illithids had been exterminated, they would bring war to all other races they encountered. In Gith's heart, fires raged. She lived in war, and in war she knew herself. All that her eyes saw, she wanted to conquer. What a bitch. Zerthmon spoke the beginnings of that which was against Gith's will. He spoke that the people already knew freedom. They should know themselves again and mend the damage that had been done to the people. Behind his words were many other hearts of the people who were weary of the war against the Illithid. No, the Gith's heart was not Zerthmon's heart in this matter. She said that the war would continue. The Illithid would be destroyed. Their flesh would be no more. Then the people would claim the false worlds as their own. Gith told Zerthmon that they would be under the same sky in this matter. The words were like bared steel. Okay. What is your will? I know that Zerthmon's devotion to the people was such that he was willing to protect them from themselves. He knew the Illithids had come not to know themselves in their obsession with control and domination. Yeah. So he chose to stop Gith before she carried the people to their death. There must be balance in all things, or else the self will not hold. The people of Limbo would know that better than anybody else, wouldn't they? Gained item. Seeing the words and know them. Dakan voices slows and his hands grip the edges of the unbroken circle. He twists it clockwise and there is a click as two plates slides forth. Dakan stares at the two plates in his hand. He makes no move to hand them to you. Dakan, is that second plate for you? You fucking git. Yes. Dakan falls silent. His blade sees shimmering, the film freezing upon its surface. He's staring at the second plate paralyzed. Do you know the sixth circle? Dakan looks up, but his coal-black eyes do not meet your gaze. No, there is nothing more I may teach you. You know the way as the people know it, and it shall give you the direction by which you may know yourself. That's not what I asked. Do you know the sixth circle or not? Dakan is silent for a moment, then speaks, his voice slow and careful. It has come to pass that I do not know the sixth circle of Zerthmon. Once I knew it, but I know not. Now I only saw the words, Dakan. I stare through you. That is all. It is my past that I no longer know the way of Zerthmon. Dakan, there is one other thing I would know. Why is Vilkra's eye in the circle of Zerthmon? It seems strange. It tells of how the people benefited from treachery from their own. It seems Dakan's eyes flash. I have told you it is a part of the telling of how the people came to know freedom. Do you not listen? His voice flattens as if he's reciting a passage from memory. Tells the people that even the greatest treachery, a greater knowing may be achieved. It doesn't sound to me like you believe that. I think there's another reason Vilkra's eye is in the circle of Zerthmon. It is set there because of the sixth circle and the pronouncement of two skies. It is there to justify Zerthmon's treachery to the people upon the blasted plains. Dakan is silent, his blade bleeds into a dead black, teeth rippling along the edge. He divided the people upon the blasted plains, Dakan. He divided your race when they were on the path of victory. I would like to believe that it was because he wished to save the people from themselves, but I do not think you believe that. Dakan is silent for a moment, then he speaks slowly. I do not know the sixth circle as it is known to others. I feel that the third circle, the fourth circle, and the sixth circle are more closely linked than many know. It is in that knowing that I have lost myself. So in the third circle, Zerthman submerged his will to deceive the Illithids. Then in the fourth circle, it speaks of the benefits of treachery. Then in the sixth circle, Zerthman divides his people before they exterminate the Illithids. Do you think Zerthman's words may not have been his own? Know my words and know the wound that lies upon my heart. I fear that when Zerthman was upon the pillars of silence, he did not submerge his will. I fear his will was taken from him by the Illithids, and when he spoke upon the blasted plains, it was their words he spoke. I fear that what he did was not for the people's sake, but for our former masters. It is possible, but no, it doesn't necessarily mean that. Then know this and speak of it no more. Dakon's voice is like a knife. Know that I shall never know the truth. There is no resolution to this matter, for I shall never know Zerthimon's heart upon the blasted plains. His black eyes glare at the stone circle in his hand. And so I do not know myself because of the unbroken circle of Zerthimon. Very well. Ha! Shattered circle. Bullshit. We're not done with this. Examine the plates. You examine the rings. The second thing, you find a strange link in the plate that mentions the laboring of the Gith's people to achieve the rising. A new circle emerges from the link, and you unlock it, pulling the plate forth so you can study it. Read the symbols. Know that the rising of the people against the Illithid was a thing built upon many turnings. Many were the people who lived and died on the time's blade where the rising was shaped. The rising was shaped upon a slow foundation. Steel was gathered so that it might mark Illithid flesh. A means of knowing the movements of Illithids was established, at first weak and confused, then stronger, like a child finding its voice. When the movements were known, then the Illithids were observed. In observing them, their ways of the mind were known. You do a similar thing in Baldur's Gate, I think. When the ways of the Illithid were known, many of the people were gathered and taught in secret the means to shield their minds and the way to harness the will as weapons. They were taught the scripture of steel, and most importantly, they were given the knowing of freedom. These things were not learned quickly. The knowing of much of the ways was slow, and many of the ways, I suppose. And in all these things, time's weight fell upon all. From the knowing of one's reflection in a steel blade, to the knowing of submerging the will, to the knowing of seeing itself. All of these things and more the people built upon. In time they came to know the whole. I like the story because it's, you know, it's slavery, and then the time it takes for people to come about. It's the sort of split within the people. It's kind of interesting.
What is your will?
Coming from a country where its own people were slaves of its own people for many, many centuries, really. Oh well, that's a different topic for a different time. Let's talk about the teaching. There was a seventh circle. What does the seventh circle speak of? It speaks of time as an ally, not as enemy. Well, I would disagree. It's not. Well, it is, yes, but it says that it talks about time. You need time to do shit like this, and a lot of things change. It says that patience can sharpen even the smallest of efforts into a weapon that can strike the heart of an empire. Your victories may be small, but over time a greater victory may be achieved. Will you make this circle known to me? There are two places here. There's much you have to come to know of the circle, and your knowing carries a greater weight than mine. Dakan matches your gaze. Know that your path is mine, and it shall come to pass that as you knew the way of Zerthimon from me, I shall know the way of Zerthimon from you. I wonder if I can unlock another one, but I'm not sure what the wisdom requirement is. Really? Is that... Sorry? Really?
I hear your words.
Well, let's talk to you about it.
What is your will?
There's gotta be. It's gotta be an 8th. Nothing yet. Seventh. There's an 8th. But the question now is, what do you need? 20 or 22 or how much? Sorry, Morty, that's all you got. Okay. What does this do? Protects recipient of attacks. Rain of anger. Missile. Okay. Yeah, some of these are pretty good though. Wilquar's Eye. Okay, this gives blindness. Okay. We'll be using mostly offensive stuff. Power 1. Strength increased. Okay. What's this? Balance in all things. 2 skies. Spells only affects the caster whenever the caster don't want to 10-foot range. Last one. Trigger the last one. Okay, I don't know. Don't know what that means. Don't know what any of this means. On a higher level, though. Okay, we'll finish this here. We'll talk to all the rest of the fuckers. I don't think they provide anything of substance at this point, but I guess that's it. That's it for now, and thank you for watching. And this will be a YouTube thing at one point.